playing at such a high level, and that I just wanted to be able to match it and play with it and enjoy it, because Douglas, I think, is kind of fearless in his idiocy in a way. It was so much fun to play.
This show is absolutely stunning, and you do such a fantastic job as Douglas. Really, really great.
Thank you, Caitlin. Nice to talk to you. Yeah, cool.
Can you tell me a little bit about Douglas and how the darkness of this seemingly kind of shiny, happy world corrupts him?
Douglas comes from this world originally, right? I mean, that's one of the, I don't want to say spoilers of it all, but, you find out that he truly is of this world. He's a blue blood from Palm Beach who, went off, basically met his dream woman and Kristen Wiig's character, and went off and ran away from this world because he thought it was horrible. And so the idea of her coming back or wanting to come back into it to sort of claim their being the heirs to the fortune, the Delacourt fortune, right? So in the process, Douglas, he's not the brightest bulb. he's full of mischievous energy because he's always looking for the next get rich scheme. He's a mess, and he's a mess in such a wonderful way to play, because he always has, I think, he always has her best interest at heart and their best interest at heart, but he always makes the wrong choice. And he was just, he's just filled with so much kind of heart in a weird way, but at the same time, he's like a puppy dog who's just not a very bright puppy dog, that's for sure.
I love that comparison. And then this show has such an amazing cast across the board. And you have so many great scenes with Kristen Wiig. Is there one that maybe stands out where she really knocked it out of the park as a scene partner and helped you almost elevate your own performance?
I mean, it happens so often. I always say the thing about this show that blew my mind going into it, they said during the negotiation, they said, Josh, you're the only actor who's not been nominated for an Oscar, or isn't a comedy, legend, or isn't a, internationally renowned pop star or supermodel. It was like, I definitely felt the power of this cast behind me coming into it, but particularly because I knew my work was primarily going to be opposite Kristen. And Kristen, I think, is not just an incredibly gifted comedic actress, but the thing that makes her work so unusual is that she's also filled with this deep depth and kind of like heartbreak to all of her characters. And so every scene that we would come into with each other, there was this, this true, in a way, it was like a comedic battle, but it was also like really playing with each other, like really throwing things back and forth. But we didn't actually, a lot of people think like, oh, you probably improvised a lot, because Kristen's like a master improviser, but the script was very, very tight actually. And there wasn't a day that I left that, or, that the challenge was going into it, knowing that you were playing ball against somebody who was playing at such a high level, and that I just wanted to be able to match it and play with it and enjoy it, because Douglas, I think, is kind of fearless in his idiocy in a way. It was so much fun to play.
Oh, I love that. And I have to ask this question because my dad will just give me such a disappointed look if I don't. He's a huge Yellowstone fan. So I'm curious if you're interested in exploring that world further, maybe with like a young John Dutton's like prequel series.
First of all, thank you, Dad. And Screen Rant has really been lovely to me, because they've talked about that consistently in some of the articles that Screen Rant has done. And it means a lot to me when people reach out to me asking about me playing, the young John Dutton or having, a prequel series. And what was striking about Palm Royale is that I was shooting Palm Royale and playing Douglas on the weekdays and flying on Friday night to Montana, slapping on a mustache and putting on, basically Costner's voice to play young John Dutton. And it was like my weekend job. And so it was a crazy, almost like duality or like bipolar reality, because obviously John Dutton is is a dark, powerful, mysterious figure. And I'm basing it all on what Kevin has done. And, but I also think it's a world that I would absolutely love to to explore further. And I can't tell you how incredible being with those horses on that, you know, in that place with the history of what Taylor's built with that show and those characters. It's one of my favorite jobs in my life.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Royale is so much fun, and I love Douglas's journey, and I love that you described him as a puppy. That's just the funniest thing to me.
He's like a dumb Labrador puppy.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I love it. Thank you.
Absolutely.